it was love at first sight, because I had gone to school for fine arts photography, and one of the challenges of photography, that's back when it was film days, but one of the challenges was it was very competitive. And then when digital came around, it even became more competitive, because it seemed like, everybody could be a photographer if they wanted to now. And with the Photoshop and editing tools that were available for digital, it opened up a whole new realm. But prior to that, I just knew that I was a lackluster photographer, just an average one at best. And I tried different genres of wedding photographer and children's photographer and stringer for a newspaper, and so all kinds of different photography. But when I saw my first hologram, which was in 1987.
Where?
In Dallas, Texas, where I had been living for the past 10 years, and I happened to be starting my family, and realized that that wasn't the geographical area that I wanted to raise my children in. So I made a life choice to sell a prosperous business that I had founded in Dallas, a carpet cleaning business, and moved back closer to my home, but where I felt that my children could be nurtured in a very natural and inspiring the greatness of nature environment, so that they could have a love of that like I do. And so...
But your first hologram did what to you? Inspired you to make holograms, or just said, whoa?
It inspired me to never look back. I was looking for a business opportunity in the area that I moved to, a small rural town in Nashville, Indiana, that's based on tourism, quaint little shops and craftspeople. And I bought a hologram from the Elusive Gallery in downtown Dallas, and I took it back, and I just started researching and studying holography. And about 6 months later, I had opened a hologram gallery in Nashville, Indiana.
A gallery means showing holograms.
A holo shop, like the 70s and 80s, with the holo kitsch and holographic art and display holography and everything in between,
Did you create a lab?
It was about maybe a year later that I put my first sand table in the back room of that gallery, and so then became involved in producing very small holograms.
Small objects shot with long durations where there's no vibration allowed.
Yeah, first I had a Heaney tube about this long. I don't even remember the model number. I graduated up to a spectrophysics. It's been a while, the big ones, the 100 milliwatt one. And so I was using that laser. But again, I was confined by my space and budget, and so I did very small holograms, maybe 4 by 5 inch glass plates at that time. And I did have a little thing where I would try to, I would record like people's wedding bands and their marriage certificate after they got married in a little hologram, so that they could have that as a keepsake. And I didn't do very many,
but you're the go-to guy right now with Pulse.
I don't know about that, but
I do.
I have been involved in Pulse for longer than I've been involved with continuous wave, so that's so
how'd you get involved in Pulse, and what happened there? I mean, that's such a expensive and totally all-encompassing form of holography.
I quickly just realized the limitations of CW. I mean, I didn't want to do rings all my life. Dynamic holography of living things is the most inspiring for me, and so even when I had my CW lab, I was researching pulse ruby lasers and looking for used ones in the laser resale market and several things. So I always had my eyes set from the very start on having a pulse lab, because after I saw my first pulsed hologram portrait, which was at the Elusive Image Gallery, it was actually of the owner of that gallery. It was Wilbur. I'm sorry I can't remember his name, but he had a very nice gallery on the west end of district of downtown Dallas, and that's how I got started. And when I saw that portrait of him, I went, wow, you know.
Was that a ruby pulse, or
Yeah.
that was a ruby pulse? But you're essentially specializing in green pulse.
That's just a matter of my time in space. You know, luck of the draw. I didn't have to get involved with pulsed rubies. I got the free pass to jump to neodymium frequency doubled pulsed holography, which made it like maybe
Free pass?
a free pass, like going from film holography, someone that didn't have to go through all the knowledge and background of using, you know, working the hard way with film, and then all of a sudden digital photography was invented, and they, you know, it was a medium where they didn't have, you know, the problems or the, you know, effort that have to be put into, like, for instance, the technology, keeping the laser so that it provided good temporal coherence and spatial qualities needed for high-grade, high-quality holography.
But you're working still. You've always worked as a distributor. You're a distributor of GEOLA,
Correct.
which is
Been
a
that
system
for
in itself.
About since 1996, I think I've been a distributor for Slavich, the Russian company that sells holographic materials. And then in 1998, I think I became a distributor for GEOLA, North American distributor for their lasers and their pulsed holography camera systems.
So you're primarily a GEOLA holographer now.
Oh, they're the ones that took me under their wing, and where I learned from Russian scientists and developed lifelong bonds. Yeah, you know, GEOLA is, you know, the worldwide leader in promoting the technology of display holography. I mean, it's undisputed, and even at that, they're a very small company, but you know, that their innovative designs on pulse lasers, and now with the full color digital using red, blue, green pulse laser technology that GEOLA developed, you know, those are that's where holography is advancing, is through innovation like that.
You don't have any problems with whether or not it's analog, as GEOLA calls it, which is, well, it's non-digital,
Yeah.
or digital. I mean, as far as I could tell, you are equally comfortable in either.
I think that there's applications for both, commercial applications for both, and that they can, they actually complement each other well, because what full color digital holography does is not necessarily something that analog holography excels at. That's you know, large size, you know, ability to use computer generated information, but analog, you know, is the purest form of holography, and it's where the magic happens, and it's where my heart lies. I love pulsed holography, and in fact, pulsed holographic portraiture is my little thing that I love. I mean, I just, I love the ability to record someone in a way that provides you with the remembrance of that person in an ultra-realistic way. I mean, photography does that for millions and millions of people since the 1800s. People have wanted to record a photograph of their loved ones and have that for posterity, for when that person dies, and be able to look back on that person and feel the experiences and emotions that they had and shared with that person. But holography is the future of photography, and it is one step higher, not only in the ability to truly record three-dimensionally, but also the ultra-high resolution that they're able to record. So when I became involved, the very first thing I did was I took a class under Hans Bilkhagen, and during that class I was the most avid student. There were maybe 10 of us, and I mean, because this was going to be my future profession, and I knew it. And so I brought my 2-year-old little boy and my 5-year-old little girl, and I had Hans do a hologram transmission master.
Where?
In Chicago at his company at the time, which was called Holocon. And that I cherish more than anything alive, because my children now are 26 and 22 years old, and it seems like the blink of an eye when I took them there to Chicago that day. And now I get to see them in a way that when you light that under a CW laser and you can look at the imagery that's produced and reconstructed, the emotions, the way that I can remember. I mean, my wife is right over here to the side with safety glasses on, so I can remember the whole scene like it was a window in time. And I frequently get on my soapbox and tell people that that's where they should be seeing the value in holography, is personal holography for them and their loved ones and their future loved ones that have not even yet been born.
So it wouldn't matter to you whether or not your holography would be considered art or commercial or display, because it sounds like holography kind of exceeds those definitions, right?
Art is everything that produces an emotion in nature and our natural world and the universe. Art is a thing that is just everything. I can guarantee you, when I look at some of the pulse. See, now I have had the opportunity to record my children from 2 and 5 all the way up to present day. Like some people have photograph scrapbook of their lives and their families and how they've lived their lives. I have a holographic record, and I'm one of very few people in the world. Alan has been able to do that as well, but we are a rare breed to be able to have, holographic record of our loved ones as they, as time passes. And one of my most cherished holograms, and the very first hologram I did when I got my GEOLA system, was of my dad, who was 75 years old. My mom had already passed away, unfortunately. And that is a powerful hologram for me and for others.
So it's capturing an event or a person or a memory, really.
Memory fades,
Mm-hmm.
but it's reignited when it's looked at. When you look at something that's, exactly like it was at that point in time.
So your favorite subjects, ultimately, unless you're working on a project for somebody else, are personal subjects.
Yeah, it's all personal stuff.
What's your favorite type of holography?
Like what genre? Like what? I mean,
What type of hologram would be favorite?
Well, I mean, I like transmission holograms and I like reflection holograms, but again, the pulsed holography is my passion.
Mm-hmm. Okay. You just ran out.
Did I?
Yeah, almost.
Okay. All right. All right.
Tell me where you think holography is going.
I cannot say. All that I can say is I'm going to be a part of it until I'm ready to go, and that's an exciting thing for me. Holography, digital is digital's going to go the way that digital photography went. These holopixels are going to get smaller and smaller and smaller until they are so small that you can't even see them. And when that happens, then that's a whole new realm, because then you're starting to get the realism of analog holography.
What's the biggest obstacle right now in your holography? Is it economics? Is it cultural? Is it information? I mean, most people don't know what a hologram is.
Yeah, I know, and it's sad that holography hasn't commercialized to the point that it really deserves. I can't explain those forces and why that hasn't happened. I spent a vast amount of money and a lot of time to try to achieve that, and to date I haven't quite done that, but I feel that it's fastly approaching, that I feel the vibe of that, you know, it's a matter of time, that at some point, you know, there's going to be some series of events that may be related, may be interrelated, you know, complex societal changes to where all of a sudden holography has a notoriety and becomes a true holography, you know, using holography in the true sense of the word. I think that will happen.